Castro, you did very good. His name was Castro, but then the Guardians decided Fidel was even a better name. So it is Fidel Castro. And this is his roadmap to success. Now, Fidel is a puppy, and he's a pretty smart puppy. He picked up on the comm, and a lot of the exercises we went over very, very quickly. I can tell he's going to be a star pupil in our Puppy 101 class that will be starting in a couple weeks. And getting him in there is going to really help. I know he is mouthy and nippy with one of the Guardians, and so that is really going to help. Now, make sure you watch that video that I went over above where we talked about mouthing and nipping. Having these things, or having the bones, having the carrots, redirecting him, yelping anytime he... like that. I really like the Guardians to set up the puppy playroom, order the extra baby gates or the puppy play section areas that I talked about in the video, because that way that whole room can become this puppy area. Let me see, passive training is something we did a short video on that is very, very powerful. So make sure that we are, so you see, he just, I'm looking for something else I can chew on. So for the passive training, make sure every time he comes to us, come. Every time he sits, we put him and say sit. Every time he lays down, we put him and say crash, or whatever the word is. You're going to try to get back up? Come on, buddy, you can do it. And make him earn stuff. He's cute, he's a little dog, it's nice to easy to pick him up and carry him around. Don't do stuff for him. Make him do the work himself. Otherwise, there we go, buddy. Otherwise, he kind of becomes petulant. And he's going to demand people do things for him. Let me see. Now, something we didn't go over on camera, we went over off camera, was incorporating the dog bed. So what we do for the dog bed, because we don't want him to be on the furniture, well, it's easier if we don't want him to be on the furniture, there we go, is to redirect him off of the furniture and not let him practice being up here. Now, anytime he jumps up on us, anything he's doing when we pet him is what we're reinforcing. So if he jumps up, or he's jumping up here, he's biting or mouthing or humping, and we pet him, we're rewarding him for doing that activity. So make sure that anytime he jumps up is the most common one, because they're little guys, they jump up on us, they're so cute, we reach down and pet them. We're training the dog. The proper way to ask a human to pet you is to jump up on the human. What is as cute as this size will not be as cute when he's this big. So if we teach him demand or manding, which is basically teaching him to sit before a human pets him, it's a really powerful thing. It's very easy. It just takes a little bit of a habit for the humans to get in the habit of doing it. So maybe if the partners see each other petting him without a purpose, we come up with a word, maybe in Serbian, I don't know that my Serbian is a little rusty, but maybe we say a word that means, reward, or something that just means you need to ask him to do something first. You're petting him for no purpose. So make him sit or do something before we pet him. Or at the very least, don't pet him when he jumps up or do things like that. Let me see. So for the dog bed, what we do is, now we have a giant window behind where the camera is right now that looks out over downtown Omaha. And so if we, because the sunlight it comes through here, he doesn't always like to sit there. So the Guardian thought maybe putting the dog bed on the other side of the couch is fine. But for dogs, they want to be inclusive with the group. The worst punishment for a dog is to be excluded from the group, which is to be kind of looked at as excluded. Now, if he's by himself and he wants to hang out here, that's fine. But if we're inviting, we have some friends over here sitting on the couch and the chairs, it would be nice to have the dog bed right there. So the way we do this is we toss the treat on the dog bed. The Guardians come up with a watchword or the keyword or command word as Serbia. So we toss the treat on there, let him see us toss it. When he goes over there, the second he touches it with his mouth, we say the word Serbia after it goes into his mouth. So the first way we do it is we toss, let him see it, and go get it. Second way we do it is we leave one there in the middle of the bed, but we don't say anything. Wait for him to discover it on his own. When he does, we say Serbia right after he licks it in his mouth. The other third way is I can bring him over there with a bully stick or something like this, lead him onto there. Once he sits or lies down, put the treat in his mouth and say Serbia as well. Now after a while, he'll start going there on his own. When he does, we want to go over there and pet him and say Serbia. Or if we don't have treats or we're too far away, we can just say Serbia when he goes over. We want to create that association. So going to the dog bed means there's something good happens, and I hear the word Serbia. With enough repetition, this is passive training like we talked about in one of the videos above, eventually we say Serbia, and he'll run over there expecting to get a treat. Now, some of the exercises we went over a recall exercise sitting on the floor, teaching them to come. Now, that one you want to have at least 3 people. So if we have an opportunity where we have a friend that comes and visits, that's a great time. We want to have at least 3 people to do that. Follow the instructions in that video. Keep it about 10 feet apart, and then after the dog starts bouncing to everybody that's sitting in front of them every time it gets called, then we start increasing the distance, as I talked about in that video. So I'd like to have the people in the, or we can also use passive training. So every time he comes to you, pet him and say, come. So after we do that enough, he'll start to come when we give him that command word, come. Let me see. Other things we went over. The not petting him for doing the things we want, I think it's going to be one of the harder things for the humans to do. It's going to be very powerful. The passive training is very easy, but very powerful if it's repeated a lot. So right there, the guardian's petting the dog for no reason. Right there, you could have petted him and said, come. So I just want to narrate, basically. He comes to me, I pet him and say, come. If he lays down, we pet him and say, down. If he sits, we pet him and say, sit. It's super duper easy, like I said, but a lot of people get confused and disregard it because it's so easy. I'd also like the guardians to follow, to start feeding him for the next 2 months out of toys exclusively. Now, 5 times, so every time just measure out how much he's supposed to be fed and then divide it up so you know in a little Ziploc bag so you don't overfeed him. It's kind of hard to overfeed a puppy as he tries to chew up his dog bed right now. And so the more that we make him eat his food, and again, he should be doing it in that puppy playroom, the more he's going to be interested in chewing on toys as opposed to chewing on inappropriate things. Now, if it's time for him to go in there, that's also a great way if we're going to leave the place and he gets persnickety. Maybe we go through the feeding ritual, put the toys in the baby in the dog play area, and once he starts eating, wait for him to get about 5 or 6 bites of kibble, then we'll leave. So then it's going to take him about 10 to 15 minutes to finish getting the kibble out of all the treats. And then by the time he does that, he comes, oh, I'm ready to go out. Oh, they're not here. And then he'll look for something else to chew on, and then we can probably lay down and sleep. Yes, we're on a firecracker. Now keep in mind though, one of the 3 times the dog's going to need to go poop is, or pootin as we were calling it, is 5 minutes after eating. So you can do that if you want to leave, but make sure he is pottied. Make sure he's pottied before you feed him, if you're going to do that. If you're going to feed him and then leave after he leaves, after he starts eating, then we would maybe take him out potty, bring him back upstairs, let him play for a couple minutes, then put him in there, feed him, and then we sneak out the door. Get the baby carrots, follow the tip for the baby carrots, that's going to be very powerful as well. I'm trying to think what else. For his paws, critical socialization period. Glad I remember that. That is the most important thing for the next month, more important than anything else you're doing because it's one opportunity. So go to the section of on Quest Ed that I talk about in the video, probably have it linked up. Find the link for the download the Excel spreadsheet, go through, and I would do that today. Go through and then put the values, low, medium, or high, or whatever, how you say low, medium, high in Serbia, and then sort the whole list by that, and then do the ones at the top that are going to be most prevalent in your life. So if you're going to be around kids, you get around a lot of kids. If you go to skateboarders, you go to skate parks, or whatever it is, so he gets used to that experience. You only have one shot at it, and you only have 4 more weeks, and the time will go by so fast. So make yourself a goal. Try to say, you know what, each one of us is going to try to get him to expose him to 10 of these things a day. If there's 2 of you, and there's 10 a day, at the end of the week, theoretically, you should be about 100 to 140 of these. You probably will be able to get through that list. Am I missing anything I forgot that I should remind you of? If you have any questions you forgot after the case, or if your partner has any questions, please call me or text me. I called you before we showed up. I would have you program that number in your phone. Make sure you put Doggone Problems with the company name. So if you have questions, we're very easy to reach. I don't charge for phone calls, and I want you to call me or preferably text. Text the fastest way to reach me. If you have any questions, I don't care if it's a week from now, a month from now, a year from now, make sure you let me know. All right, Fidel, come here, buddy. Fidel, come here. Fidel. Come here. Oh, another little trick, little thing is, a couple of little dirty dog behavior secrets. Number 1, always outlast your dog. So if your dog is doing something and it's being pursued, don't give up. Follow through. Number 2, always try to disagree with the dog before it does the wrong thing. That's really powerful. Whenever you're using a treat, pop the treat in the mouth and then say immediately after that the command word only. And don't say it, with a lot of inflection. Say it the way you would normally would say it. This last little thing, putting his paw, and a couple other things. Putting his paw on top of me like this could be, right now it's convenience, but also could be a control move. So if you're petting him, he puts his paw on top of your arm, pull your arm back and stop petting him. Now, a couple other things. Come here, buddy. I want to show you. For vets, they're going to look at his ears. So you want to play with his ears. He's just being persnickety right now. Get him used to playing with his ears. So that when you take him to your vet and your vet does that, it's not unusual for him. Same thing with his feet. Now, a lot of dogs have problems with getting their paws, their nails trimmed. I recommended that the guardian use a Dremel, but holding up each individual nail like this, and then hold the next one. Now, what I like to do, I'm sorry, buddy, I saw what you're doing there, is maybe have, since we have a partner, maybe one of us is feeding him his kibble while the other one's just holding up his digit like this. You can see he doesn't really particularly care that I'm playing with his digits because he's chewing on something. If he's eating kibble while we're doing this, what I would do is hold it and hold each individual nail out, because that's what you're going to do before you're going to Dremel it or trim it. You're going to hold it out, then you're going to cut it. So if you get him used to you manipulating his paws, lifting up his ears, lifting up his tail, looking in his private area, also looking into his mouth kind of like this, just look at his teeth. Those are things that vets are going to do later on in life. We want him to get used to those things. So the more you practice that, I would probably twice or 3 times a day go through it where we're just grabbing his paws, manipulating it, and just getting used to that. The other thing is not wearing a collar now. A lot of times if you're holding a dog, or a lot of people come up and grab the dog by the collar, and sometimes the dog will recoil to that. So one of the things you can do is come up with some treats, hold the treat with one hand, and the other hand grab his collar, and then pop the treat in his mouth with your one hand. So every time somebody approaches you and you grab your collar, you get a treat. I don't have a problem with that. Now, he is a dog that's going to be groomed. Do you have a groomer yet?
Groomer? No.
Okay, so you're going to need to find a groomer. Now, if you go to Petco or PetSmart, a lot of those places pay those people by the hour. They're trying to get the dogs through as quickly as possible. One of the industries where you get bit the most working with dogs is a dog groomer. Because you're grabbing the dog and you're flipping around, you're trying to do it on your schedule, and the dog's like, why are you looking at my butt? Why are you grabbing me here? Why are you grabbing me there? The buzzing, we have other dogs that are barking, it sounds anxious and nervous. It'd be a very stressful situation for the dog. So I would find a groomer that you want to use, go and find, next door, find somebody that people have used and that has good recommendations. Check recommendations though. A lot of people have them, they're fake. So call the people, reach out to the people. Find somebody that's got a doodle. And for the doodles, since you can get it cut however you want, find pictures of Google how you want it. And then that way you can take a picture in there and tell the groomer this is how I want him to look. But I would take him into the groomer before you actually take him in to get his hair cut. Same thing with the vet. Now you have to be careful in those places because he doesn't have all the shots, so I maybe carry him. But if you take him to the groomer and just he meets the groomer, she feeds him a lot of cookies, she sits down in a chair and plays with him a little bit, and then next time he comes in, he has a good remembrance, he has a positive association. So for groomers, I'd probably take him in 2 or 3 times before you actually go and get him in to get groomed. So that way, for him, the groomer is a great place that I go to and I get a lot of treats. You gotta come all the way up here to get it, buddy. Come on, you can do it. There. Oh, almost. That's gonna be an epic fail. Come on, buddy. Movement is a good attractor for dogs. So like doing the leave it exercise, one of the guardians is kind of just going like this. Make sure you throw it and then go over it. So it should go outside of your hand. The guardian was kind of dropping it and just immediately collapsing it. So I should throw it so it lands here, throw it, and then collapse it. So make sure you take him to your vet and to your groomer probably a couple times, but your vet at least once or twice before. If you think about when you go to the vet, they're sticking their finger in your butt, they're giving you injections, they're poking and prodding you. It's not a very pleasant experience. So we take the dog in and give him a lot of treats, it becomes a positive experience. Just make sure that he's not walking anywhere until he gets all his shots. And if the vet wants to hold on to him, just say, do you have a little blanket or something you can put up there? Just because they probably had other dogs they were steadying to give a shot to. And we just want to make sure we're safe. Most vets are very cognizant of this. Neutering, I would probably wait until he's somewhere between 6 months and a year. For responsible dog guardians, we can go a little bit longer. If you're not responsible, you probably need to get your dog done quicker so we don't there's a big pet overpopulation problem. But there are a lot of developmental benefits, closing of growth plates, hormones in terms of bone density, and a lot of developmental things that'll be beneficial to your dog if you get it neutered sometime between 6 and 12 months. And again, I would recommend just joining the Golden Doodles of America Club on Facebook. Golden Doodles are great. I love my Golden Doodle. There'll be a bunch of groups. Look for the ones that have a lot of membership. Now keep in mind in these Facebook groups, there's a lot of people that are busybodies. They're going to tell you what to do. Just take a cute picture of him. Just put, hey, this is my buddy Fidel. We joined the group. We never had a Golden Doodle before. Love to be part of it. Looking forward to be part of the community. Love to get some advice. Actually, first question we had is, anybody have any advice on when we should get him neutered? You'll have a lot of people that will comment. Some of them will be very abrasive and aggressive. Ignore those people. Some people want to tell you what you got to do it my way. You get some other people that'd be nice. You'll develop some friends in that group. Just take note of who those people are. But it's nice to have somebody who's familiar with the breed standard and with the dogs themselves. So if you do have a question, I have a Dalmatian, they have a tendency to get stones in their bladder. And that's something that other breeds don't have, so most people aren't going to have a reference point to. So for him, if you get some friends that are online, people who are breeders or familiar with doodles, that way if you have a question that's breed specific, you have kind of a resource that you can go to. All right, we're not going to let this go in the crack because that's going to create probably the wrong chewing scenario. Fidel, did you have fun today? I had a lot of fun working with you. We're going to enjoy having you in our puppy class. Come here, buddy. Let's say goodbye to the camera. Remember, everything you do trains your dog. Only sometimes you need it.